Hi, my name is Keith Kinambuga. I'm a screenwriter. I've done a few TV series, including Mamaduka, Liza Bind. I've storylined for Jen and Abel and Sumula Penzi. And I'm just here to give you a few tips on screenwriting. They might not be the expert's view, but it's just from what I've learned and research that I've been doing over the years. Welcome. So, number one on story structure. It's all about Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Most of us are already familiar with it, but we are going to dig a little deeper. This is from what I've seen in a book by Blake Snyder, titled Save the Cat. So if you need really detailed stuff, usiogope kufungua hizo makurasa. So in Act 1, obviously, we start with the opening image. This will set the tone of your film. If it's a story like Luanda Magere, the warrior, the Luo warrior whose weakness was his shadow. You couldn't kill him any other way, you just have to spear his shadow. The opening image would be probably a war scene. Maybe, or even he's just killed a certain warrior and we already get the theme from it. So number one, opening image, done. You've written it down. Next would be the theme stated. If you haven't stated your theme within the opening image, you have like 5 more pages just to show guys this is what your story is about. This is why you're writing your story. And the theme in this case would be war. You can maybe introduce a love theme. And then you move on. Done. The next one is the setting up. The setting up is usually done between pages 1 and 10. You set up your story. And in this stage, you show the character, your main character, in his normal life. If it's Luanda Magere, he'd be the village hero, so everybody's looking up to him, kids are coming up to him, they want an autograph, but you don't have a pen. So within the setup, you've already shown what exactly Luanda Magere does in his normal life. Then people want to see the drama. So around minute 12, you have your inciting incident. What happens to take your character from his normal life to another stage of his life where he will change his view of life. He'll either go from good to bad or from bad to good, or whichever emotion that you want him to evoke in your audience. So the inciting incident has to come by surprise. Damn! It doesn't have to be so obvious. Otherwise, the audience will be bored. If your setup is heading in one direction, the inciting incident should take the audience in a different direction. And if it's taking the audience in a different direction, it's obviously taking your protagonist in a totally different direction. So once you've done your inciting incidents, done. And you have your debate where the protagonist is trying to see what to do after the inciting incident. What does he do? How does he react to it? He's still trying to think, does he try to correct whatever has gone wrong, or will he just stay and let it pass? So there's that debate time that lasts up to, if it's the 12th minute, up to about the 25th minute. And by minute, I'm also referring to page, because each minute on screen, on your screenplay, will be 1 page. 1 minute, 1 page. So by 25, you're breaking into Act 2, where your protagonist has already decided, I'll do something about this. Once you're into Act 2, you have space to ease off a little bit. This is what we call pacing. Ease off a little bit and let the protagonist have a little fun and games. Maybe they've met somebody new. Maybe it's a love story. You can introduce your B story. Act 1 tackles your A story, introduces your A story, which is the log line, what your story is about. And in B, you have time to play. At around minute 60, 65, middle. You don't have to hit it right on the dot, because your story is the one that speaks for structure and not vice versa. So at the midpoint, something happens that raises the conflict to the next level. More drama. It's tougher now on your protagonist. He's facing an uphill task. Once he decided, I'll do something about it, it's not as easy. Life is not easy. So that's what happens in the midpoint. Then at some point after that, you have your all is lost phase. I believe that should be at the 75th minute, where he has lost everything. All his friends have left him, or if there's one, they don't believe in what he's doing. So he's the only one who can make the decision to move on to the next stage. But we are still not going to make it easy for him. We're not going to make it easy for our protagonist. So we have the point where it's the dark night of the soul, where things are as bad as death. There might be a death around him. His closest friend might die. Maybe somebody who was supporting him for a while. So there'll be a death or symbolic death. Something around him is lost kabisa, dead and buried, and he's at his lowest point. Once he's there, when at your lowest, that's when now your strength is tested. And for your protagonist, if you want us to care about him, he has to have more grit. He has to have more soul. He's got soul. So he decides to still try to make a change from whatever happened, the inciting incident. He's still trying to make things go back to normal, or to a better place. So we break it into Act 3. He's triumphed over the dark night of the soul, the time where there's a symbolic death or an actual death. And in Act 3, this is where the drama and conflict is at peak. Kila kitu iko mbaya, but he's just fighting on. And at some point, he starts to gain ground. It's a definite decision that he makes, or a definite action that he does that changes the tide in his favor. But in certain instances, it might change the tide against him. If you want him to die at the end, if it's going to be a tragedy, then things will change against him. Once you've done the finale, you have the final image. That's by the time you're in between page 90 and 120. You're doing your finale. Then at 120, or whichever end it is, either 90 or 120, the last page you have your final image. Just like you had the opening image in the first page, the last page you have your final image. And normally the two are the opposites of each other. If it was Luanda Magere at war, the story ends, legend has it, the story ends, Luanda Magere is dead. So he's being buried by his people, things have changed, now they have to defend themselves somehow, they have to find a way to defend themselves. And yeah, just make sure that it is very clear between the opening and the final image, that there's a change in your protagonist, a change in the story, a change in the direction of the story and such. Yeah, and that's it. You've got your Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.